After using the iPhone 16 Pro for 12 months and having filmed everything from family moments to sponsored videos, I want to share with you what I loved and hated about its camera and the improvements that I'm hoping for with the iPhone 17. Also, this video is brought to you by my color presets that work fantastically with Apple log footage, as well as log footage filmed with virtually any camera. I will link to them down in the video description for you to check out. Now, let's start with what I loved about the iPhone 16 Pro, and that is Apple Log. Yes, it also existed on the iPhone 15, but it deserves repeating here. Using Apple Log has been a revolutionary experience for me as a filmmaker, and not necessarily because it gives you more dynamic range or a more color gradable image. No, my love for Apple Log mostly comes from the iPhone backing off all of the sharpening that it usually does when you film with a phone, which can make your footage look fine on a small phone screen, but once you copy it to a computer, the over-sharpening screams that it was filmed with an iPhone. Apple Log has really fixed all of that though, and the image quality from this phone suddenly looks like something that you would get from a mirrorless camera with a much larger sensor. It's just so good. You can absolutely mix it with footage from other cameras without it being immediately obvious that you filmed it with an iPhone. But that said, there is room for improvement, which leads us into talking about what needs work with the iPhone. Because one of the biggest cons of Apple's cameras, basically for forever now, has been the amount of reflections that you get in your footage when it's filmed, especially at night. If you're filming anything with any lights in a darker environment, the iPhone gets these tiny reflections from the lens of the camera, and this can be really distracting and, yet again, another indicator that you were filming with an iPhone. I have watched reviews of Android phones that do not have nearly as much of this issue, and I would love to see Apple improve this and reduce the reflections visible in the iPhone 17 Pro's footage. Moving on, let's talk image quality now. And while I kind of touched on this whenever I was talking about Apple Log, I want to add here that the 10-bit footage that you can film with the main iPhone camera is really great. It's 4K, it looks fantastic, and it usually holds up pretty well even in darker conditions. But I can't say the same for the ultra-wide and zoom lenses. While the ultra-wide is decent, and I find myself using it relatively often because I want a wider shot, I find myself consistently avoiding the ultra-wide and telephoto lenses whenever I'm filming in darker conditions, because the low light performance struggles on the ultra-wide and is still just downright bad on the telephoto. Zoom in and you're going to instantly start seeing noise in the footage, and it's really a bummer and prevents me from wanting to film much with the telephoto lens unless it's a bright and sunny day, which is really the only conditions that I recommend using it in. Lastly, in case you thought I forgot about the front camera, this camera has been decent for quite a while now, ever since Apple upgraded it to make it 4K, but at the same time, it isn't nearly as good as the back camera, which has led to us seeing companies offer MagSafe wireless monitors that you can attach to the back of your phone, so you can see yourself while using the back camera, which is definitely a cool workaround. But I also can't help but wish that Apple would just upgrade the front selfie camera as well. I'm someone who films himself very often, and while the front camera is fine for Instagram or TikTok, I still don't love using it for YouTube videos, and I can't help but feel that if the selfie camera was improved, I would use it significantly more often for this. In a perfect world, Apple would just use the same sensor for all of their cameras and just pair it with different lenses, which I know they've been slowly upgrading all the cameras to be 48 megapixel, but I'm not sure if they're all using the same sensor, and I can't help but feel that if they did this, the quality would look better across the board. Now, we have another negative to talk about, and this is arguably the biggest one by far, and that is this camera control button on the side of the phone. While it was hyped as the biggest upgrade to how you will use the iPhone camera ever, I have to say, after using it for a few weeks, I actually completely disabled this button. Why? Because the amount of times that I would be grabbing my phone to do something and accidentally press the button and open the camera was wild. I have heard other viewers complaining about the positioning of this button, wishing that it was further down on the phone, and I agree with them, because having it right here almost in the middle of the phone, if you're picking it up, you have to grab the phone right in the middle, because if you grab it too low, you're going to press this button, and because it's recessed into the phone, you can't really feel you're pressing it until you've already pressed it while picking up the phone. It's just been more of a nuisance really than a help, and while Apple had talked about adding more software updates and functionality to this button, I never really saw that materialize, kind of like Apple Intelligence. And as a result, I just disabled this button completely, and my experience with the phone has been much better than when it was added. I'm sad to say it, but the biggest improvement I would love to see Apple make with the camera control button would be to dramatically rethink its positioning and how it works overall, or just remove it completely. It is great in theory, just like how the Apple Touch Bar was great in theory on MacBooks, but in use, it's really lacking and needs to be reworked. In addition, there are also improvements that I would love to see on the software front for Apple's camera app as well. I would love if we had more control over Apple Log, including the ability to use it with the H.265 codec instead of just ProRes, which is possible to do with third-party apps like the Blackmagic camera app, which I have a tutorial about. I also want Apple to let us use LUTs with the native camera app, so we can actually either have them as a preview whenever we're filming in Apple Log so it doesn't look all gray, or maybe we could even actually apply them to our footage and just have it recorded with the LUT. Remember, my LUTs for Apple Log are linked down in the video description. I would also love if more camera modes could use Apple Log as well. Let us film time lapses with the camera in Apple Log. And why the heck can we use cinematic mode to get artificial bokeh but not use Apple Log with it? That would make this mode so much more useful, and I would use it all the time. Looking into the future with the iPhone 17 Pro then, at the time of recording this video, that phone has not been announced yet, but I would not be surprised if Apple increased the resolution of the main camera to 6K or 8K, which I have to say, as someone who's been filming more and more in 6K, I can appreciate that from a video editing reframing standpoint. But if Apple makes you film with that in ProRes, the file sizes are going to be truly massive, and they're already huge in 4K. So personally, I would prefer to see them focus on improving the image quality of the lenses and removing those reflections first. Overall, I would say I've been happy with the iPhone 16 Pro, mostly due to the image quality that I've been able to record with the iPhone, but that was also true for the iPhone 15 Pro as well. The iPhone 15 Pro added USB Type-C, external SSD recording, Apple Log, all these massive updates to video quality, and while the 16 Pro added camera control, that was pretty lame in comparison. If I could go back, I could have easily stuck with the iPhone 15 Pro and not really experienced any difference from a video quality standpoint. I kind of wish I could go back in time a year and tell myself that, but then I also wouldn't be making this video as well, so oh well. Here's hoping the iPhone 17 Pro makes more useful updates on the video and filmmaking front. Remember, you can download my color presets that work great with Apple Log that are going to give you vibrant and true to life colors in just one click in your iPhone footage. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more videos about filmmaking and video editing with the iPhone and other cameras as well. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day.